Good morning. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Today is May 1st. The sun's coming out, the weather's getting nicer, and it just coincides with part two of our course because it deals with upstanders. What's an upstander, you say? Upstanders are people who make a difference in our world. Now, you're thinking that's cliche, I know, but they do. And thank goodness for upstanders. Can you imagine a world without upstanders? Now, upstanders come in many, many forms. There's the dissident, the rescuer, the hero, the resistor, the civil rights leader, the community organizer, the activist, the whistleblower. You just have to look at Netflix. All you have to do is turn to your hero section on Netflix and look at all the movies. Look at how people love to see upstanders and heroes. Ooh, look, Prison Break. Does that guy ever smile? My goodness. Now, if you do turn to the Holocaust section on Netflix, there are a few heroes highlighted in the movies. And if you look to the left there's the Zookeeper's Wife starring Jessica Chastain. Absolutely fantastic movie for you and the family to watch. Really, really good. There's a bunch of movies. I haven't seen that one. Pretty good. Fury. Ooh, this one is excellent. It's called Hacksaw Ridge with Desmond Doss. It's absolutely exceptional. You should all watch that. I have no idea why the mind of Aaron Hernandez is in the Holocaust section, but that's just me. Deadpool 2 is on Netflix. I guess this lesson's over. Upstanders. So to define upstander, it's someone who basically puts themselves up there to fight for something that is larger than themselves. And there is a pattern. These people are independently minded thinkers. They have a very deep moral center. And they can't really live with themselves unless they do the right thing, no matter the consequences. But as you'll see in this unit, a lot of upstanders have controversy. Also, unfortunately, because of their actions, sometimes they do meet tragic ends. However, their legacy, what they've done, lives on, and it will continue to live on for hundreds of years. The first type of upstander I'd like to talk about, if that's okay with you, it's called a dissident. And the reason I'm starting with dissident, and you'll find that on page 42 of your text, a dissident is a unique type of upstander. Usually they're very political, and they live in a system, like a dictatorship or autocracy, which basically clamps down on human rights. And they're the lone voice. They're the voice of reason, of morality. And we're going to look at a few upstanders, a few dissidents, as they are called. The ones I'm going to focus on are Václav Havel of Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, Aung San Suu Kyi of Myanmar, formerly of Burma. And the reason I'm starting with this is that it got me thinking, because a 33-year-old doctor in China, his name was Li Wenliang, he passed away of COVID-19. But I don't know if you remember him. He's the doctor who actually was the whistleblower, who stood up and said, this is a serious illness. We have to take this seriously. Unfortunately, he passed away from the illness, but he was censored at the beginning. They actually shut him down. They punished him for speaking out, the Chinese government. So I call him sort of like a medical dissident. And thank goodness for people like that who call things as they are. A dissident, according to the standard definition, is someone who opposes the official party, usually a dictatorship, as we've said. But I like Václav Havel's description. He says it, I think, more succinctly, is that an upstander or a dissident is someone who lives in truth. They must live in the truth. They cannot live a lie. And so that's what he did. And Václav Havel was a very famous dissident in Czechoslovakia throughout the 60s and 70s. He was a playwright. He wrote these beautiful plays. In fact, one of his plays did premiere in the 60s in Broadway. And the Czech communist government gave him a choice. They said, here's a plane ticket, a one-way ticket out of Czechoslovakia. Just go to Broadway. Can you imagine? Have a beautiful apartment on Central Park West, live this glorious lifestyle, be famous. But he said, no, I have to live in truth. I cannot leave. And so he chose jail. And he was in jail for years because of his views of the Czech government. His name is Václav Havel. Unfortunately, he passed away just a few years ago, but he still remains a symbol of living in the truth to freedom-minded people everywhere. The other dissident who is very, very controversial today, her name is Aung San Suu Kyi. And Aung San Suu Kyi spent 20 years in house arrest in Burma or Myanmar because she was opposed to the dictatorship of the military government that they had. Her father was assassinated by the same government, and she felt that she had to speak out. But yet she was jailed, and what makes it even more tragic, and like Václav Havel, who basically it wrecked his health, prison, he gave up being famous to go to prison. She gave up freedom. They gave her as well a one-way ticket. They said, go back to London, live your life with your husband, Michael Eris, who was British, and your two children. And she said, well, can I come back? They said no. So she chose house arrest, self-exile in Myanmar. That means she did not get to see her children grow up. That means she wasn't able to be there when her husband got cancer. She saw the cause greater than herself. So Aung San Suu Kyi was this amazing dissident who basically spent 20 years in house arrest. This woman has won every award that we have in the world. She's been given honorary citizenships, including Canada and the United States. She won the Nobel Prize. U2 wrote a song about her. It's a true story. So she was this famous person because she refused to bend, that she refused to give up her freedoms. However, today there is a controversy, a dark cloud over Aung San Suu Kyi, because once she was finally won her battle after 20 years, and she was able to become a member of the ruling party and the government, well, her silence over the treatment of the Rohingyas, over the treatment of what most people in the world are calling a genocide. You see, the Muslim minority in Myanmar is being punished, persecuted, and everything we've learned in genocide, which is rape and displacement and violence, is happening again under her watch. When asked, she says, well, it's a civil war conflict. It doesn't concern you. You don't understand. And so the government of Canada is asking or is revoking her citizenship, her honorary citizenship. There are people that are asking for her Nobel Prize to be taken away. So many people are conflicted about Aung San Suu Kyi. Is she a hero? Is she a villain? Well, she's not the only upstander. She's not the only dissident to court controversy. There have been many throughout the years, and we've studied them. Che Guevara. I don't know if you've had time to think about it, but do you think Che Guevara is this great communist revolutionary and freedom lover and person who's lifted up people from hardship and poverty, or do you think he's a murderous butcher? It seems like there are two camps. There's another one. His name is Bobby Sands, and unfortunately they took his documentary off Netflix, but he is a fascinating figure. This young man, this quiet, unassuming young man, grew up in Northern Ireland during what they called the times of the Troubles. Basically, it was a Protestant versus Catholic, almost a civil war that's been fought on and off since 1916. You see, Ireland, the Catholics in Ireland, want Ireland for Ireland. No Northern Ireland, no Southern Ireland, just Ireland. But the Protestants in the north, who are allied to England, want to keep their status and want to keep Northern Ireland. And so there's a hatred between them, especially after 1969, when the violence escalated. Since 1969, over 3,000 people have lost their lives to this sectarian violence between Catholics and Protestants. Well, Bobby Sands was a Catholic. He was definitely someone who grew up very unassuming, didn't like to cause trouble. But the people in his school, in his community, really treated him and his family badly. In fact, they had to relocate because they were Catholic. They had to relocate from the housing development that they were staying in, where they were living in. Also, when he went for his apprenticeship, the company that was there was predominantly Protestant. And they basically treated him violently and said, "You don't belong with us. You need to get out." He initially didn't say anything because, of course, he wanted to get his apprenticeship. But something in him snapped, and he became radicalized. And he joined what's called the IRA, or the Irish Republican Army. Irish Republican Army was, of course, fighting for a united Ireland. And this is where it gets very complicated because, of course, if you believe that on that side, you believe that you want a united Ireland and freedom for all Irish Catholics. But if you're on the Protestant side, you see them as terrorists. And many people throughout the 80s and 90s did look at the IRA as terrorists. Bobby Sands, of course, joins this organization. He is arrested for terrorist activities, and he's put in jail. But to protest, he stops eating. He goes on a hunger strike. And after 66 days, he dies. He basically starves to death, and he becomes a martyr. Actually, while in prison, people put his name forward to run for a member of parliament, and he actually wins. To this day, a lot of people hate him and for what he stands for, because the IRA did bomb places. They did use terror tactics. But if you are on the side of a united Ireland, Bobby Sands remains a martyr and a hero to the cause. Well, thank you very much for listening today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're safe and well. Get out and enjoy that sunshine because it just came out. Tomorrow we're going to look at different types of upstanders. These are resistors, usually during the Holocaust. These people who, of course, would not stay sitting down. They stood up for what they believed in, and great cost to themselves. And all this week, we're going to look at various types of upstanders throughout history. So, as I always tell you, study hard, don't panic, and be well.